Welcome to Boro Fan TV. James Hutchinson here, and a later than usual Monday night show this week. Thanks for joining us out there. Boro fans, a couple of 2-all draws since we last were on air. Boro still searching for the first league win of the season, but do you sense that it's just round the corner? What's your opinion on how things are going at the minute with the Boro? What needs to change for these things to happen for us to get that first league win? Progress has been made in the transfer market since we last met. We've had Alex Moat join the club, but progress hasn't been made in the League Cup with a defeat against Barnsley, ending our League Cup run for another season. Join me tonight on the show are Tony Guest and Patrick Wheatley. Welcome to the show, boys.
Evening all. Up the Boro. You all right, James?
Yeah, great to see you again, Tony. As always, Boro fans, we'd love to hear from you, so get involved on the show tonight. So, first of all, Tony, we'll not do things in chronological order as such tonight, but we'll go back to the league fixtures and the Sheffield United game first. Thought it was a really entertaining encounter on Sunday against the Blades. I thought there was something to be really excited about, along with one or two concerns. On the downside, we fell behind to quite an early goal. Are you worried in general about us defensively at the moment, Tony?
Yes and no. Obviously, we've brought in the goalkeeper from Man City. This lad's played behind world-class defenders. You know what I mean, James? And the teams he's been at, the team at Man City, he's had a lot of protection in front of him, and he hasn't been exposed most probably to some of the crosses which he's getting in this league, the pressure he's getting on corners and, getting roughed up a bit when balls are coming into the box. But he's a million times better than any keeper we've had for a long time. And obviously the players in front, Leonard, he hasn't impressed me yet. I don't know defensively, I don't know whether Dale's carrying a niggle or whether there's something going on internally. Is there a bit of beef between him and Wilder, or is a move on the cards? It seems strange again last night, him sitting out, but he played against Sheffield United, but got the half time. Like you said, we just seem to start really slowly on Saturday and Sunday against Sheffield United, pretty much similar to QPR, where we just, we're getting caught cold. We got caught cold again last night, so it's at this moment, James, my glasses are full, and the desire and passion which we showed on Sunday, that as a Boro fan, that's what we want. As Boro fans, me personally as a Boro fan, and I know there's Boro fans out there who would like to have sit and watch a Pulis grind out a 1-0 win game to go home 3 points, where I was quite happy with a point on Sunday just because of the way, not just the Boro, because the way both teams went for it, James. It was a throwback to the old Boro days where everyone's getting stuck in, everyone's committed, and we got what we deserved at the end of the game. And plus, on the plus side, our striker scored 2 goals.
Yeah, well, we'll get on to the strikers in a minute, Tony, but a few of the viewers have got in touch with us already. Peter Grasham has said about, with regards to the defence, need to keep Fry and Paddy in the centre of defence. And on the subject of Dale Fry, Andrew Hill said, do you think Dale Fry will leave before the transfer window? He believes he will. What's your thoughts, Tony, before I come to Patrick about the strikers? What do you think about the Dale Fry situation?
Like you say, there's always been this speculation in and around Dale since he came into the team. Karanka absolutely loved the kid. I think there might be I'm hoping it's just around a possible move for the lad. I hope there's nothing internally going on, because we know where that leads to, especially at the Boro. He's a Boro lad through and through, and us as Boro fans, he's one of our own, and we want to see him in that team week in, week out. So I've been asking some questions today. People who were close, got their ears close to the ground concerning Dale, and I'm getting nothing back off them. So you know, hopefully it's because the lad's going to get a move, and maybe we can get someone in on loan or on a free, which I'm not happy about at the moment. The business is that with the business that we're doing, but that's for another question, James.
Yeah. And Patrick, we mentioned there about strikers earlier on, and on Sunday coming up with the goods was Chuba Akpom. I mean, it's been some resurrection for that bloke, hasn't it? From a player that we all maybe thought wouldn't see in a Boro shirt again in the summer, he's now become the main man up front at the moment, hasn't he? And he had a great performance again last Sunday.
Oh, well, I've always been a big fan of Chuba Akpom. But obviously, you know, a lot of Boro people out there, obviously, and managers didn't like him. That's why he went out on loan last season. But like, I'm glad he's come back because, you know, he's playing under a new manager now. You can see when he's out there now how much them 2 goals meant to him when he scored them for Sheffield United. He went into that crowd and he like I've always said to you, James, this badge here, right? You have to wear it for pride when you're on that pitch, and he wore that with pride on Sunday. He went like that with it because I was right next to Chuba, and how much it meant to him. It was like he's a different player, and I'm really glad to see that he is scoring goals, and he needs to be fit on Saturday because we need him back in that starting 11. He's a breath of fresh air. It's basically like a new player for us, a new goal scorer, which we need.
Yep, Slayer. Patrick, he's saying get well soon, Chuba. Tony, I mean, you said there earlier on in your answer to the first question about how both teams went for it, and again, Chris Wilder, I thought he was very brave with the substitutions he made on Sunday when in the second half, wasn't he?
It's been brave, or has it been stupid? You know what I mean? I keep going back to last night. Yeah, you can't. If we're getting beat or if we're drawn, there's only one thing on Wilder's mind, and that's 3 points. None of this. If you can't win, don't get beat. Wilder, it's, you know, just go for it. Let's just get 3 points. Until we get his players in, if you like, or if we're not going to get his players in, these lads buy into what Wilder's trying to achieve. I don't think we're going to see much progression, but the shift the lads are putting in for him at the moment, you can't fault it, you know what I mean? And like you say, I haven't been disappointed. Yeah, 3-0 down against QPR was a bit disappointing, but, you know, the lads fought and came back. And, you know, on another day we might have got something else out of that. And that's like you say, that's where we're lacking up top. I can't believe some of these. It's a while since I've done this, and I can't believe there's people thinking that Stefan is as bad as Callum O'Hanlon. And this social media is getting absolutely crazy at the moment, man.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's all about opinions, sorry, but yeah, that's an interesting one.
It's his opinion, James. But
and after 4 games, I mean, yes, it's disappointing in terms of the number of points we've got on board, but I don't think you can be disappointed with the way that we're playing at the moment. And surely it's only a matter of time before things click, Tony.
How I see it, James, is we have 2 flyers now. We've got Ryan Giles. We've got 2 absolutely fantastic outlets. We've got Isaiah Jones and Ryan Giles. Lads are training with these day in, day out, all week. You know, they're playing 2 or 3 times a week now the season's kicking off. And me as an ex-striker, I know that if I'm in that 6-yard box, you know, 7, 8 times out of 10, that ball's going to, you know, go somewhere in that box. And we still have no one committed enough from the midfield or a striker who's willing to stay in between the goalposts and get in that box, and we'll profit from it, James. It was evident again last night. God knows how many balls Giles put in there last night, and there was no takers. Jones, when he gets his head up and he shows a bit of quality again, you know, he will provide. So that's my only concern, that we still haven't got no one willing and able to get into that 6-yard box and, you know, put teams to the sword, and get us out of sight instead of, like you said to me last week, we can't go into every game needing to score 3 goals to win.
Yeah. No, David Jackson echoed your statement there about Giles and Mort. He said they're both great signings. Patrick, with regards to the game last Sunday against Sheffield United, after the game, Chris Wilder was talking about Andre Mariner, the referee, and he said he had no issues with the way that he handled the game. Now, in a minute, we'll talk about the Stoke match, but in general, it seems this year as though referees are going to let a lot more go than maybe they have in the past. Are you in favour of that, or do you think there's a fine line between that and maybe things going a little bit out of control?
Well, I say I don't like referees. For me, Boro just all the time. It's always Middlesbrough always get the bad side of referees. Like on Sunday, that Mariner is the Premier League manager. Premier League referee. And Chris, I was stood right next to Chris Wilder because obviously I sit in the West Stand, and he was shouting at that referee and the fourth official because some of the decisions on Sunday were terrible. They were terrible. And like you say, you're going to get on the Stoke game, and obviously that referee as well. So you know what I mean. So, but all I can say is that we've got a good result against probably. For me, Sheffield United are going to be the favourites for me to go up this season. So,
Patrick, did you see Nigel Pearson's rant?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did yesterday. Over the referee. Yeah.
And every word that man said, I'm not one of his greatest fans as a manager, but every word that man said about the way officials perform in this league was true. And and you get the pundits trying to say, it's just Nigel straight after the game. But every word that man said about the officials in the Championship was true. But I am enjoying, the play being allowed to go on at the moment. These, like McNair, the little touch in the back, how many free kicks he's won. It's going to go against us, but there's lots of teams do it. And to see that now, players just throwing themselves on the floor and the referee taking no notice, it's only good for the game for me, James.
Yeah.
But it's the other decisions that they're making, and some of the penalties and that should be given, and they're not giving them. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah. Tony, Paul Nicholas has got in touch, and he said there, with the joint top scorers but worst goals against, when we get the defence sorted, he believes it will beat most teams. Looking back at last Sunday, did you see that as a point gained or 2 lost against Sheffield United?
You've got to look at it, it's 2 lost because we were at home, James, but it was just like when was the last time we came from, losing the league twice? You know what I mean, James? It's been a long time since we put a performance in like that, to grind out a result. So it felt more like a win towards the end, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's at home, it's 2 points drop, but I can't complain about Sunday at all. Because, once again, it's a team that's going to be up there challenging at the end of the season.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
Michael Pellin's got in touch with there, and he said it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and he's using the example of Nottingham Forest from last season. And in terms of the referee...
You go back a few seasons ago, James, when we went to Carrow Road after the international break, and we were riding high. I think we were under Pulis, and I think Norwich were in the bottom 3 at the time, and the Norwich fans... they had no faith, or they all thought they were going to go down that season, and they ended up going up with champions. So, it's a long, hard season, and we'll be having these conversations again in December. We've most probably been on a bad run. It's just such a long, hard season.
Yeah. Peter Grasham, thanks for watching, mate. He said, I think Watmore could be the fox in the box. Does miss the odd one, but he's willing to graft, and he's a nuisance to defenders. Talk about Duncan a little bit further on in the show. Before we move off the Sheffield United game, Patrick, I mean, some people might point to the fact that we failed to win in our opening 2 home games against West Brom and Sheffield United, but we've arguably been up against probably 2 of the better sides in the division, haven't we? Yeah. We, like I was talking to you before the show, obviously Middlesbrough couldn't have asked for a harder start really to the season. West Brom first game of the season, QPR away, Sheffield United, Stoke away, and then obviously we've got Reading, and then we've got Swansea and Watford.
and then obviously Rotherham and Sunderland. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah. But just like you said, we just need to bring a few more players in, and I think if we get set up at the back, like Guesty was saying about 2-3 minutes ago, I think we'll be a good team. Because look, like I've just said, that lad there on the thing he said about Forest under Chris Houghton were in a really, really bad position, and obviously the change manager and Steve Cooper came in, and look where they are now in the Premier League, splashing out big bucks on players. Like they've splashed out on 44 million on Gibbs White. So I'm hoping Middlesbrough can just bring a few more players in, because like you were saying earlier on, James, it's just a matter of time now. I think once we get that first win, I can see us going on a little bit of a winning spree.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Well, last night, Tony, obviously it was a trip to the Potteries and taking on Stoke City. Chris Wilder made 3 changes to the starting lineup from the game against Sheffield United. And one of those players, Alex Moat, came last weekend, joined us from West Bromwich Albion. 1, were you pleased with his acquisition? And 2, were you quite surprised that West Brom allowed him to join us?
Yeah, I think he's a great signing, you know what I mean? Even though he's another ex-Leeds player, he's seen the light. And, came to play on God's little acre instead of that shed up there, down the road there. But, yeah, really surprised West Brom seemed to let him go. And he brings a bit of balance to our midfield as well, a nice left foot. And, like you say, he can pick a pass, James, and I'm hoping he's going to turn out to be the player we've all been screaming for since Ramirez left. You know what I mean? He seems, he's confident on the ball. When once he gets his range in and he gets to know how he's playing with our forwards and Giles, it's just going to get better for me because, top class signing, especially for the Championship.
Yeah, I would agree, Tony, definitely. In terms of last night, Patrick, it was Stoke City that took the lead with a goal that Michael Salisbury later apologised for to Chris Wilder about. I mean, it's difficult to legislate for things like that going against you in a game, isn't it?
Yeah, because obviously I watched the match last night, and if you look, I kept looking back at the and that was a nasty challenge on Isaiah Jones, and I can't believe the referee Michael Salisbury let that go, because obviously Dwight Gale then obviously went, and obviously that's how the goal came off. But I've always said if it was Middlesbrough doing it to them, it'd have been a free kick without a shadow of a doubt, because it's just typical Middlesbrough. It always happens. It always does. It just does.
It'll keep happening, Patrick. Believe me.
It's you know what I mean. It's just Middlesbrough in it with referees, but that was definitely a free kick to the first goal last night. Yeah, it was definitely a free kick. But we should have gone on and won the game, like you're going to obviously mention in the next few minutes, probably. So.
Like you said, just leading up to that goal, Patrick, you just, the way we dominated, and Stoke City seen none of the ball, and they touched the ball twice.
Yeah.
People were saying Isaiah was fannying about with the ball. What do you want, Isaiah fannying about with the ball, or shot and taking long throws? I'd rather see a man on, you know what I mean, than playing for possession and trying to get long throws into the box. Yeah, the lad got caught, and you've got to take it on the chin. And I dare say there's a lot of Boro fans turned off after that, you know what I mean? Because it was just typical Boro, just total domination. And you're looking thinking, how are we one down?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Tony, it's safe to say that Duncan Watmore's endured a difficult start to the season, but you can never question his work rate or his attitude. And he was rewarded with his first goal of the season last night. Do you think Duncan has a future at the club?
I'm hoping so, James, but I can go back to this show last season where I still think he's more of an impact player, James, and we've had this debate now for over 12 months with Watmore. He was effective last night. Still on a couple of occasions he misses chances that he should be taking, where was it the first half where he was through one-on-one against Jagielka, and instead of composing himself and cutting in on his right, he shot with his left. I'd like to see Watmore stay, you know what I mean? Because he's full on, James. He's absolutely full on. And you're not going to get many players like that who'll just run themselves into the ground. But I still think he's more of an impact player. But he took his goal absolutely brilliant last night.
Yeah, I think a lot of Boro fans would agree with you on that. Steve Davis has got in touch, interesting, Patrick, and he's just said there, I don't understand Wilder constantly saying how he needs new strikers. We get 2 in, and he starts McGree up top with Watmore. Doesn't make much sense to me. What's your thoughts on that? He's obviously referring to Hoppy, who's joined the club, and he was on the bench last night, but he went with Watmore and McGree. What do you think about the selection for last night, Patrick?
Well, when I seen the team come up on Facebook last night, I was obviously I've written a comment on. I was a little bit worried about the team because he's been crying out for goal scorers, but obviously, like you said, he played McGree and Watmore up top, and I was glad Mowat came in the team because I think Mowat's going to be a fantastic player for this club. But we need, like I was saying at the start of the show, James. You were saying to me that this Hop could be like a what do you call it, player for Middlesbrough, like a player for the future for the club. So, but like I said at the start of the show, I would have started Hop last night. I'd have put him in just to see, because like Guesty was saying, Ryan Giles for me is, and probably for me, he's the best left-sided player in that championship at this moment in time. He's quality. Them balls in that box last night. Hop is like 6'5", 6'4", and I can guarantee you 4 or 5 of them balls that were in that box last night. I can guarantee you Hop would have been on the end of one of them. But like
the thing is, though, Patrick, this is my beef at the moment. You know, Mr. Scott and Mr. Bowser.
Yeah.
After listening to what Wilder has to say about Hoppy or Hoppy, whatever he's called, I don't think he's got much hope of starting many games under Wilder, because he's definitely not one of Wilder's picks. He said in his match notes, and he said on the radio that he's more of a club signing. No, I've never heard a manager say that ever. You know what I mean? He says there's no rift between him and recruitment, but I think there's a bit of needle there, like there was under Warnock, especially when, you know, the club are signing players basically that Wilder doesn't want. When he's, you know, and that's what's worrying me. The bloke's a winner. The bloke wants to win, and he wants his players in. And, you know, we're sat here again, less than 2 weeks before the window shuts, and we're still waiting on some quality coming in. I don't know where that, Force, the kid from Brentford, how he's going to be. He just seems like a Chris Martin type of player up front, you know what I mean? But like you say, if he got a run in the team, he's the type of lad who will get in the box. But we won't know.
So
we won't know until Wilder starts picking him.
Yeah.
Tony, I mean, you can tell us how you reacted to that last night. The last couple of minutes, I mean, we'd got in the lead, 1-2-1 up, played some great football. You said there were so many people I'd say played fantastic football. Had Liam Wild on there, was just said about it was gut-wrenching at the end. I mean, what were your feelings when that equaliser went in injury time last night?
I needed more than a bottle of great water to get my wind up. I tell you, man, it was like you say. I was telling you earlier on, I had a few technical difficulties. I was watching the game, and it went off on about the 89th minute and into the 90th minute. And I thought, I'll leave it. You know, we're home and dry here. Wilder's still going for another one. So when I eventually got it back on, it was shown 93 minutes, and we're still in Stokes' box. You know, absolutely going at it, hammer and tongs. And I thought, oh God, he's still going for the third. Then I looked up the top left-hand corner, seen it was 2-2. I thought, where's this gone wrong? And I haven't seen their second goal till just now on the BBC, on the news there. But typical Boro.
Smallest player on the pitch as well, Guesty.
Oh, yeah.
Wright Phillips, the smallest player on the pitch, and he headers it past Zach Steppen, and Dyke's
Yeah,
there and right in either side of him as well.
like you say, it was a good header by the kid, but that like you say, that's Wilder's downfall. He's been on the radio like last night, admitting, he should have shored the defence up and settled for a 2-1 win instead of, going for glory. So hopefully, he's a bit long in the tooth now, Wilder, but I think that was a bit of a experience, for him to maybe care a bit when we are winning 2-1 with 5-10 minutes left to play.
Do you think it's just not in his makeup and the way that he sets his team up, though, is it, Tony, to be that way? I think it's something we're just going to have to... We want to accept that we're going to see great football, which after and no disrespect to them, but no disrespect intended to Warnock, Pulis, the football that we've had the last few years, it's like a breath of fresh air, what we're watching now. But this is almost, in a way, the trade-off, isn't it? That sometimes you might not see games out like where they are at the minute.
He's a modern manager at the moment, he's a modern manager without the modern players. Do you know what I mean, James? And until he gets them, we're going to have to put up with conceding goals in the last 2 minutes or conceding early goals till he gets what he wants.
Yeah. Dave Richardson, good friend of the show. I hope you're well, David. He went last night and he said he was good. It felt like a defeat. He whinged all 3 hours on, but great performance. And Patrick, that's the thing at the minute. I think we haven't registered a win in the first 4 league games, but there's lots of positives. Even as Tony said earlier in that QPR game, which we lost, there's been positives to take from each game. And arguably, we haven't got the strikers that Chris Wilder wants at the moment yet. We're the joint top scorers in the league. But on the flip side, we've conceded the most goals in the division. Yeah. Is it as simple a case of just getting a new centre-back in that'll address those problems, or is it a bigger issue than that as to why we're struggling at the back at the minute and conceding goals?
Well, good question, James. I'd probably say we definitely need a new centre-back because I feel sorry for Dale Fry, because like Guesty was saying earlier on, Dale Fry's a Boro lad through and through, and he needs to get back in that team, because I thought he played all right against Sheffield United in the first half, but obviously he got a yellow card and he said it was a tactical decision taking him off. But yeah, I think we'll be all right up the top end of the pitch, because Tuber at the moment is banging goals in for us. So Watmore got his first goal, but I still think we need a centre back in, and I think Middlesbrough need to go and splash out on that Jacob Graves from Hull.
Do you think? Do you think? Because for me, he's been ineffective at the moment. Paddy McNair, he's been non-existent for me. Do you think he's the answer? We obviously were a bit more solid when he's at the back, and obviously we have the added extra. He can carry the ball out with him. I think he's absolutely been piss poor out on the right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you should put McNair back in that defensive position. Yeah, I think you should. Yeah, I think you should put McNair back. I think you should play Lenihan, McNair, and obviously Fry for me would be my 3 at the back. But obviously, for some reason, Fry's not in the team, because I still think Dale Fry will probably leave at the end of the season, at the end of the transfer window. I'll be devastated if he does, but I've got a funny feeling that he'll be gone in the transfer window.
Yeah,
the
question I asked you, Patrick, was about, is it just the defence? And you've mentioned there about the Dale Fry situation and players that could be brought in and what you would have as a back 3. But Jeffrey Woods picked up and he says, is also the issue the quality of strikers? Yes, we're scoring goals, but should we be scoring even more goals with the service we're getting at the minute? And he feels that Chris Wilder's been let down by the recruitment department.
Yeah,
in terms of strikers, we've been linked with Strand Larsen over in Groningen. This week we've had Emil Rees at Preston. Again, another big bid coming in. Would you like either of those or both of those to come in? How do you think that might play out, Patrick?
Well, I don't think Middlesbrough will. I think Middlesbrough will definitely bring one of them in. I can't see both of them coming in. Yeah. I can't see Jürgen Strand Larsen coming to the club because I think they're asking a bit too much for him. But I think the one that possibly might come to the club would be that Emil Rees from Preston. They put a £10 million price tag on him, but now they're saying they want 8 for him. I think if we brought in another striker, someone like him, because obviously he scored 17 goals last season for Preston, and he's obviously used to the Championship, where Jürgen Strand-Larsen is not used to that league. So yeah, I think we definitely need to bring another striker in, because like Ryan Giles is bringing some fantastic balls in that box, and we just need somebody in there just to just put the ball in the back of the net. We're just not putting our chances away. Like Watmore scored last night, and then there was an own goal by Jadjelka, but we do need another striker. Yeah, that's what I think. And talking about recruitment, I don't really want to talk about Neil Bassey. And obviously, is it Kieran Scott who come in last season?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what your take is on it with Neil Bassey and Kieran Scott, but we're linked with a player, and it takes for ages for us to get it over the line. And then other clubs come in and come in for the other players, and then they get it over the line. I just want to know what your take is on that. Why does it take so long for us to get a player over the line?
Well, when you listen to the likes of Madison and people who've been involved in the game for such a long time, and all these pundits on the TV, and obviously everyone's looking for the same thing. Everyone's looking for a 20-goal striker. Everyone thinks their club's better than the next club. You've got to fight with other agents. You're trying to attract these players to Middlesbrough. Do the wives want to come? Do the kids want to come? And there's a lot to take in, you know what I mean? It's not like when we had Brian Robson in charge and you just had to wave him about, and you're getting European Cup winners signing for us and the best players in the world signing for us, and it's a lot more difficult now to attract players to the northeast even. So it's just, for me, James, Patrick, it's luck of the draw. And the disappointing thing is when you look at the likes of Brentford, Norwich and teams like that who are managing to do it season in, season out, where we just never kicked on from Carantha getting us promoted, and obviously the following season was such a big letdown, just getting in the playoff semi-finals against Villa, and we've gone back over since then, and it's difficult to attract players.
Just with regards to last night's game, David Bentley said we should have had 4 or 5 last night. The way we're playing, real quality, and something's going to pay for it. With regards to the bringing in players, I mean, is it fair to criticise the likes of Bowser and Scott and things like that, Tony, when you think at the end of the day, we've still got 2 weeks of the transfer window to go, and we've already bought 8 players in? I mean, it's not like we've not brought anybody in at all. There's 8 players have come into the club. And as you say, it's not like we're in the Premier League and we haven't got...
We brought 8 players in. 8 players in, James, and one of them's a goalkeeper who won't even see the light of day. You know what I mean? So that's down to 7. We've still got... Is it the kid last year? What's he called? Who we haven't seen? Oh, God, I can't even think of his name now. Another one that we brought in.
Boyd Munce.
That's him. Boyd Munce. Where is he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Under 23s at the moment, yeah.
We had the promising youngsters. Was it young McLaughlin? And we haven't seen him again. So there's players come in who you never see. We see these youngsters for 2 or 3 games and then they disappear. Bowser has done absolutely nothing for our club. Absolutely nothing from the day he came in. He's been a waste. I was hoping things were going to be different under Kieran Scott. I think it was Kieran Scott who definitely got rid of Neil Warnock, because, like you say, it was pointless him staying till the end of the season when he wasn't going to be here this season. So I think a lot was down to him. And I thought he'd have had a lot more pulling power, especially when you've seen the likes of Man United in the close season when we're supposed to be chasing him. And for me, he's been a bit of a letdown. So I was hoping we'd have got our business done quite early this season, but like you say, we're still sat waiting, and the window's about to close.
Do you think now, I know a lot of people are saying, and Chris Wilder's mentioned in interviews, that there's maybe another 4 players, or he's targeting 4 more players to come. Do you actually think those 4 players now, lads, will probably be in the last couple of days of the transfer window, and it's all going to be pretty quiet in the run-up in the next 2 weeks, but then it'll all explode into life in the last couple of days of the transfer window. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I think like you were saying earlier on, James, in the start of the show, I think the transfer activity, the players who Chris Wilder will want will be the last 2 days of the transfer window. Like after the Watford game, I think we play Watford on the 30th, don't we?
Yeah.
And I think that's when Middlesbrough will, they'll see where they are in the league and the position where they are, and then they'll. I think that's when you'll see them bring the players in. I'm hoping, obviously, Reece is one of them. I'd love to see Jacob Greaves come to the club.
I was stood outside Rockcliffe all day on transfer deadline.
I know. I've seen it get to you. I've seen it.
The only thing that passed me was a cart horse. There was absolutely. Yeah. No, it wasn't Uchi. No.
What do you think, Esty? Then do you think Boro will do something next week before the Swansea game at home next Saturday, or can you see it being like James said at the end of the last 2 days of the transfer window?
Wilder will, like you say, every manager will have his list. Wilder will have his wish list who he wants in. It's whether he gets them or not. So,
yeah,
like you say, I was surprised to see Mort come in last week, which was an absolutely fantastic sign, and whoever was behind that, fair play to you. But this manager needs his players. He needs the players that he's got written down and that he's put on their desks. He needs them in for us. If we're going to be successful, if we're going to be anywhere near the top 6, we need them players in as soon as possible.
Yeah. We were linked with another player, weren't we, James? You put it on Boro Fan TV last night. Temo Tonini, whatever his name is, a midfielder.
Yeah, I think it was somebody put that on with regards to is it a Belgian club, Union?
Yeah. I just wanted to know what that was all about. I just want to know if that was just like if Boro are interested in him, or is it just paper talk again from
general,
sort of
yeah, just general chat that it crops up on all different sorts of pages. I don't know. But I don't think there's much in that one, but. Yeah, I mean, Tony, you did mention early on about a player there, Uchi Ikpiezu, and he left the club last week on a permanent deal, went to Konyaspor in Turkey. How would you sum up his time at the club?
You know what, James? I remember conversations we had on the show about, was it Fulham, our first game, and I thought if he's our way out of the Championship, we're doomed already, you know what I mean? Everything was just hitting him and bouncing off him, but you know, when I seen him in the flesh for the first time at the Riverside the following week, like you say, he was just, you know, he's just one of these blokes. You wonder how he's got to be a professional footballer, but his heart and his desire and his commitment to give his all for that team, you couldn't fault it. And yeah, I do agree now with some of the fans who said he is a bit of a plan B and he should have been kept at the club, but. Like you say, I don't think he's a type of striker that Wilder wants to use. You know, the way he's got the lads pressing, I don't think Uchi would have fitted it into that type of pattern, or whether he was intelligent enough to take on information. I don't know, but for what he done for the Borough, like you say, as fans we're grateful. He was a, you know, he's up there with Uwe folks, even though he came and he went, and he became a legend overnight. That's about it.
The last game we're going to look back on before we do the preview of the Reading game, lads, is the Barnsley game, which has gone a little bit like under the radar, and I think people are just trying to forget what happened. But in terms of the League Cup in general, did you get anything from that game or anything, Patrick, in terms of what happened on the night? I know we got beat and we're out the competition. Did it serve any purpose or anything at all? Did we gain anything from that night, Patrick?
No. Didn't gain anything from it, to be quite honest with you. I watched it and I switched it off at half time. In a way, I'm glad that we got knocked out of the cup. You know, we were disappointed that game. I put down in the comment on Boro Fan TV that I didn't fancy us against Barnsley. But yeah, I'm glad that we're out. Now we can concentrate now on the league now and try and get a few results in. But I was very disappointed with the game. Very disappointed.
I've criticised other managers in the past for disrespecting the League Cup or Carabao Cup, Coca-Cola Cup, whatever it is, Cup. I've criticised, managers because obviously it's the only trophy we have in our trophy cabinet, the only major trophy. And as a Boro fan, I do like our managers to show a bit of respect. And I think, talking to some of the Boro fans after the Barnsley game, some were saying maybe it's a statement from Wilder saying, look, this is our second string. This is what I've got to use when our first team players get injured. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's always disappointing to go out of any cup competition, but I'm so glad I didn't watch it, listen to it, had anything to do with it, and I can say that I'm not feeling guilty.
Tony, do you think it's, in a way, an illustration of how Championship clubs hold it in terms of its importance? Is the fact that 14 Championship teams went out in the first round last week? It's just a matter of fact now that the league is just the bigger priority, isn't it?
Definitely, like you say, obviously the Premier League disrespect the FA Cup, the League Cup, where now the Championships, stand to disrespect the League Cup. It's just the way football's going, James, isn't it? You know what I mean? And that cherry at the top of the cake's getting brighter and brighter and bigger because I've been listening today about the gulf is getting bigger and bigger every season between the Premier League and the Championship. I think every club in the Championship last year, paid more out on wages than what every club paid more out on wages than what they took in. Do you know what I mean, James? And is that sustainable? I don't know. So, let's be thankful that we are in the Championship at the moment, but hopefully, Gibson and Wilder can get their heads together and get us out and bring a bit more success back to the area. But like you say, the Championship now it's so difficult. It's such a difficult league to get out of now.
Yeah. Well, Liam Wild said there, we have no midweek game next week, seeing as though we're out of the League Cup, so hopefully we'll have a sign or two before the game against Swansea the following weekend. Either of you lads, no disappointment then that you haven't got a trip to Welland Road to look forward to next midweek?
Oh, I was just about to mention that to Guesty there because I know how he feels about Leeds. If we did beat Barnsley, it'd have been a away trip to Leeds. Would you have gone, Guesty?
It depends on the shift of the felt, but yeah, I think I'd have went, because I dare say they'd have given some discount on our tickets and Leeds fans, and the Leeds board, they might have sold us them for 38 quid instead of 40. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's great going to Ellen Road. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable atmosphere when you go there. Yeah,
it's just the people that are in it that spoil it. You know what I mean?
Well, lads, the search for the first league win of the season moves on to Reading on Saturday. A Reading side, Patrick, led by the Governor and former Boro midfielder Paul Ince. It's safe to say that the Royals are at a contrasted start this season. They haven't picked up a point away from home yet, but they've won both the home games against Cardiff and last night against league leaders Blackburn 3-0. So it's going to be another challenging fixture at the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one on Saturday because obviously, like you said, they've got 6 points on the board. They've won the last 2 matches, and we're going to be going to their ground on Saturday. They're going to be, full of energy and thinking from the result against the informed team Blackburn. So it's going to be a tough game for us, but I'm hoping we can go down there and put a show on it we did against Stoke, but this time put our chances in the back of the net. If we can do that, I can see us beating Reading 2-0 on Saturday.
2-0. Oh, we'll get the predictions as well in a minute, mate. But harsh or true, Guesty, Liam Wild said quite disappointed Joe Lumley can't play this weekend.
Well, like you say, I think the Boro should write to the FA and get this compensation and say it's all right for him to play. Do you know what I mean? Like was it Atletico Madrid were allowed to play David De Gea, whoever it was, or the other keeper? Yeah, I can't see a problem. Wilder should be on the phone to him now saying, look, he can play if he wants. I watched him, who battered him 4-0 the other week or 4-1.
Rotherham.
I just thought, oh, thank God. Thank God I don't have to look at his behind anymore, picking the ball out the net, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like you say, it's a massive challenge going down to Reading. Another great place to go watch football. And lots of fond memories of being down there, and we always seem to do quite well at Reading, so hopefully we can get our first 3 points of the season down there, James.
Yeah, I mean, Damon LaRoche, hope you're well, Damon. He's mentioned that it's going to be a tough one. They thrashed Blackburn last night, and Lucas Jow was on the score sheet. He's one of a number of players they've got particularly going forward who we'll have to watch for at the weekend. You've obviously got Shane Long, plenty of experience there. Tom Ince as well. Jeff Hendrick joined them from Newcastle in the summer in midfield. It is going to be a difficult game, but have we reached the stage of the season already, lads? And I'll ask you both this, but you first, Patrick. Have we got to the stage now where this is a must-win game? I know it seems bizarre to be saying it when we've only had 4 matches, but do we have to win on Saturday?
100%, yeah, James. Yeah, we need to get 3 points on Saturday. If we want to be like up in the top 6, top 7, we need to start getting points on the board. You know, we can't be, you know, down towards the bottom of the league. We need to, yeah. It's a win for me on Saturday. It's a 100% win, yeah.
Tony,
every game's a must-win game for me, you know. But if we come back with a point, James, I won't be disappointed. But draws are no good. Draws are no good in the Premier League now, James, and they're even less valuable now in the Championship. So, 3 points is a must. A point, you know, keeps us away from that defeat column. But if we can tighten things up at the back, James, and like you say, it's a new goalkeeper playing in front of a back 3, a back 4, back 5. Players he most probably didn't know half of them were before he came to the club. So if we can get things sorted, I'd like to see McNair, like you say, McNair and Dale back, either with Lennon or Dykesdale, you know, which was quite solid last season. Go back to that, and like people keep mentioning there in the comments, we're the top goal scorers in the league. It's just that we've shipped more goals than anyone else as well. So I think Wilder will get it right. He's had his fingers burnt last night. If we are winning 2-1, 2-0 on Saturday, he will shore things up. So obviously till we, you know, put a run of wins together, then I think he'll just go back to being Wilder. But we need that first win, and hopefully it's on Saturday.
Yeah. Paul Nicholas, thanks for watching again. Paulie's got in touch with us, and he said, it's mad how we're talking about putting chances away when we're the joint top scorers. Just shows the amount of chances we're making. And Stephen Chapman.
But Paul, we're not taking all the chances. That's the frustrating thing. There's chances there. There's goals galore for any half-decent striker, midfield player who's willing to work hard and get in that 6-yard box. You know, we must probably have a cricket score in the goals for column now.
Well, Stephen Chapman said there that Reading are quite open in their formation, so he is expecting a lot of spaces on Saturday, which hopefully we can exploit. So, Patrick, are you still sticking with your 2-0 for Saturday?
I'm sticking with 2-0 Saturday, James, yeah. 2-0.
How about you, Tony?
Oh, you've got to go 3-2, Boro, because it's got to drop. It's got to drop in this weekend. 3-2, Boro.
Paul said, I think that was a guess that he was trying to make. I guess that was a point he was making.
Nice one, Paul.
And Michael Pellin said, there's always faith and optimism in the predictions every week. Guaranteed, Michael. The crying comes after the game. Yeah. You're not wrong, mate. You're not wrong. Well, everybody, thanks very much. That's your lot for this week's show. Many thanks for watching, everybody, and contributing to it. And thanks, most of all, to Guesty and Patrick for joining me on the slot. Thanks very much, lads.
You're welcome, James, anytime.
Welcome, James.
Cheers, boys. We'll be back again in our usual time of 7 o'clock next Monday to look back on the Reading game and preview the Swansea match. But until then, from us all at Boro Fan TV, take care, good night, and up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Up the Boro. Up the Boro.